It's time for your board game dessert, folks. That's right, it's time for another game pie. Game pie is when Mandy and I serve up a selection of games curated by our whims and good taste because we hate ranking things, but we love pastry. So y'all get game pies from us, not top 10 lists. And the pie of the day today it's full of expansions you don't play without. So, Mandy, this is just all, we are not huge expansion people in general, but sometimes there are just those little add ons that you try for one reason or another and you fall in love with them. And that's what we're going to share with you today. So, Mandy, why don't you dive in first?
Yes, and mine I think is going to be on a lot of people's lists, and maybe it's on yours, Suzanne. And that my first slice of, I got to play with this expansion list is Lords of Waterdeep, and the expansion is Scoundrels of Skullport. So when I first started playing Lords of Waterdeep, I'm like, yeah, it's so good. And then I added the Scoundrels of Skullport, which is a whole other board, whole bunch of actions. It adds these skulls, which can are not great, give you some negative points, but can I tell you, just jazzed it right up for me. And now I just play with that expansion all the time. And there are two parts in that expansion, but that in particular, right up there for me. Scoundrels of Skullport for Lords of Waterdeep.
Excellent choice.
Thank you.
First slice up for me. Quacks of Quedlinburg has a couple of expansions, but the one I don't play without is the Herb Witches expansion. First of all, the most important part is it adds a fifth player, and Quacks is a great game when you have a few extra players around the table. It also adds more of the spell books and a new resource type that's kind of serves as a wild resource, which is really, really
Nice.
nice. So, Quacks of Quedlinburg, if you like that, chip token pulling bag, Herb Witches must have expansion.
Oh, God. I got to get that one played more. It sounds super good. The next slice of pie for me is Project L is a base game, and the expansion is a finesse expansion. Now, let's be
Oh,
clear. I have all the expansions of Project L, and Project L on its own is great. But sometimes, like I said, you just want a little more jazzy jazz in the game there, and the finesse expansion adds, more objectives and more pieces and things for you to add to your little puzzles that you're trying to finish. I just throwing it in quickly. I just got the new Ghost expansion, which I'm really excited to play, and I have a strong suspicion it adds more pieces, and I'll probably add that to this mix when we revisit this list potentially at another time. So that's Project L Finesse expansion.
next slice up for me. Roll for the Galaxy Ambition. I
Mm,
really, really like Roll for the Galaxy. I don't know that it needs an expansion.
sure.
I don't know. It's one of those games. But I do like Ambition. It adds more factions and more start worlds, which again, like I like that. It's great. I Is that essential? Meh, your mileage is gonna vary. But what I
Right.
love about Ambition is it adds objectives and some new dice. And those are two hot, hot things for me in Roll for the Galaxy. So Roll for the Galaxy Ambition, throw it in the box, mix it in, have a blast.
Very nice. Good choice on that one. Next up for me is a bit tricky because I have it's well, my next slice of pie, let me just start off with saying it is viticulture. I have the
Oh,
essential edition, which makes this tricky because it combines viticulture and some elements of Tuscany, but I do have a lot of friends who still own Tuscany. So viticulture is the base game, and then Tuscany is the expansion. And it's one of those games where this is, in essence, I think, why they made that new edition of viticulture is because it uses some really cool elements from Tuscany. Like I think it's like some of them, like the Mama and Papa cards, and there's some other cards and elements that are in that edition, which are now just part of the base edition. So there is another expansion with the Essential Edition, but if you have the original one, I personally feel you need to throw in the Tuscany expansion. So there you go. So viticulture with the Tuscany expansion.
all right. Next game, Potion Explosion. And the expansion I don't play without is the fifth element.
Oh, good one.
Potion Explosion is just a delightful game. I actually think because of the way you mix and match potions and for the amount of times I play it, I'm not looking for more content necessarily in
Right.
Potion Explosion, but the fifth element adds a fifth player. And it adds a new resource type, which I think is actually super fun. And especially I play with younger players, I like having it in the goo, kind of wild resource in there. So, Potion Explosion, the fifth element, again, get it, toss it in the box, play with it all the time.
That's strong choice. I didn't even think about that one. Yeah, that's a strong choice. I like that one a lot. And my last slice of pie is a game that is one of those games where it's like I like it, but it's just better when you add the expansions, and that is Dice City. Dice City, it's fine. I mean, it's just a very straightforward game, but when you add in, there are a ton of them. There's crossroads, all that glitters, and I've kind of thrown in a mishmash of some variation of those ones, and I think there's another expansion I probably even missed. But anything that adds more cards, more objectives, more resources that are gonna get me more points, haha, that is the name of the game. I'm here for it. And it just adds a little bit more of an interesting elements to the game. So Dice City with Crossroads, All That Glitters, or any of the other expansions, I think is a wonderful addition. So if you haven't tried them, actually, it might be out of print. I hope not, but if you can get your hands on it, you should.
I do like Dice City too. All right, and the last slice of expansions you always play with pie, Res Arcana, Lux and
Mm.
Tenebra. Now, I think Res Arcana and I think there's a whole nother discussion, Mandy, about when a game needs an expansion.
That's fair.
What does that say about the game?
Yeah,
And
that's definitely
so with
different.
Res Arcana specifically, I actually really like Res Arcana. And I'm going to say it's not a game that needs an expansion.
Mm,
It's a solid game that I really, really enjoy. But it is a game that I quickly felt like I wanted more content for the
right.
game to have a little more variety in between games. And so Lux and Tenebrae, when that came out, it adds more of everything just so you have a little more variety, which is what I wanted. And again, it expands the game from a 4-player game to a 5-player game. And I often have a 5-player game group. And
Right.
so games that go up to that 5-player count are huge for me. So Res Arcana, absolutely. Lux and Tenebrae, gotta have it. Just throw it in. It doesn't really it adds scrolls and demons. It doesn't change things up that much though. So um I think it kind of needed this one.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah,
but
strong choice.
great game, great expansion.
Love. Good job. Good list.
Alrighty, folks. I know that I have been falling behind on making sure our threads are up to date on Board Game Geek. My apologies on that, but we, I do appreciate emails and social media comments so much from y'all out there that are chiming in on the game pies. Please continue to do so. I would love to hear about expansions that you think are essential, especially because Mandy and I are not necessarily huge people in pursuing expansions. So if we're
Right.
going to do that, I wanna know which ones to
Yeah.
prioritize to
Make
check
your
out,
case.
so
Make your
yeah,
case.
this is a huge one, honestly, a huge one that we'd love to hear from you on. You can email us at saltandsassgames@gmail.com, or once I get off my duff and get that thread updated, I'm so sorry, put it on the Board Game Geek Guild, that's guild number 4131. Or we've been hearing from a lot of you on our social media channels, really appreciate you, and you can find us all over the place, right, Mandy?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you could be, hey, watching this video here on the YouTube. And we are also on the Twitch at saltandsassgames.com. And don't forget to smash the subscribe button while you're over there. It helps us out. We appreciate that. Smash it. Rah. And you can also find us on Twitter. That's right. I said Twitter at Salt and Sass Games. So that's Salt and Sass Games. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, all the things at 613 Mandy. That's Mandy with an I. And how about you, Suzanne?
You can find me on all those social media platforms as well. I'm at 425 Suzanne. We hope that you are staying warm and safe in kind of the cold burst that we're having right now. And until next episode, hey, stay hydrated and play a lot of games. We'll see you next
Absolutely.
time.
Bye, everybody. This episode was sponsored by Druid City Games, where player experience comes first. Check out all of their great games at druidcitygames.com.